Hi, I'm James the Light Guy, and today we're going to take a look at a flush mount LED pod light. I got this pod light off of eBay a while back. The original listing that I purchased this from has gone down, but I will put a link to a similar unit. This one has 6 LED chips inside, and this particular version has an amber lens. The original listing had this in a clear lens option or amber, as well as spot or flood. This is in the spot type. As we can see here, we have a smooth bore on the reflector. The flood version had a knurled diffuser type reflector to help cast the light in more directions. Now, I believe each of these chips is actually a 3-watt chip, so we would likely see this run at 18 watts, and it is listed as 24. But in my earlier testing, I found that this actually only runs at about 12 watts, so that may have been listed as 24 watts for the pair. They are pretty bright, but we'll get to that in a moment. Looking at the cord end, we have 2 fairly thick cables with a nice flexible silicone sheath on each wire, and a very thick, let's zoom in a little. There we go. Very thick rubber casing on the pair of wires. That goes into the back here, get that dust out of the way, into a very tight rubber grommet for waterproofing. And you can see there is a massive heat sink on the back of this. Like I said, this is only going to draw about 12 watts, which means that it will never overheat with this much heat sinking. The lens is polycarbonate, and the faceplate mounts to the base of the assembly with these 6 Allen keys. Let's pop this off. Give me just a moment. I just pulled the last screw out of the housing, and the whole assembly pushed apart. As we can see, there is a groove in the back of this assembly which fits, or this faceplate, which fits around this thick silicone gasket with the amber polycarbonate lens. This also has another shelf for that lens to sit on, and creates a very tight seal against this ribbed surface inside. That is quite a nice design. Next, we're going to remove this center screw to remove the reflector assembly. And we can see the circuit board and all of the chips. Looks like we have a fair number of resistors and various voltage regulating components. Everything looks to be fairly well put on. Looks nice, and I can see down here some celastic or thermal paste. Let's see, that is thermal paste, so we are definitely going to have a good surface for heat transfer from the back of this chip or board onto the heat sink. We can see that this side is held on with a Phillips head screw, and this centerpiece is, or center hole, is where the screw from the reflector went in but I would have liked to see a second retaining screw on that side, but not 100% necessary. Let's first plug this into our power supply and see what it looks like without the reflector on. That should be a solid connection. Turn this on, and that is ferociously bright. Covering it up, you can see at 14.4 volts. Let's see if I can get the focus to change. We are at 0.872 amps. So yes, that is about 12.5 watts. And man, is that pretty. Let's put the thing. And that changed it into a spotlight. I can't even look at that right now. Let's turn that off. Put this screw back on and start reassembling it. One of the things I'd like to note is, although we have this amber polycarbonate lens, one moment, I actually have a rather large sheet of transparent amber acrylic. I use the acrylic to make various lenses for other projects, and we can see it is much richer and more saturated than the polycarbonate lens that came with the assembly. What I might do in the future is trace this out on the acrylic just to see what kind of difference it makes in the color of light that it casts. Reassembly is now complete, and you can see that we have compressed that gasket again, making this completely watertight. And we have multiple mounting positions. We can mount it from the back as just a free light, or if you have enough space to sink this in behind a surface and put some nuts back here and some bolts through the front, you can have that a very nice flush mount light. Let's turn it on and take one more look at how amber it is. Very yellow with that lens. Grab our little piece of amber acrylic and we can see just a little difference. I may build or cut out an amber lens because I think that the orange light is a bit prettier than the yellow, but also being acrylic rather than polycarbonate, it may not hold up as well in the end. But in any case, that's all I have for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give me that thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and share with your friends. Until next time, I'm James the Light Guy.